All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the finals of our third Offworld tournament. Today we're going to have a best of 5 between Cubit32 and PB Head. PB Head being our #1 seed, Cubit our #2, both of them making it on through, making sure there were no crazy upsets, although I think that may stop here and now, because general consensus is that Cubit is looking really, really strong with almost no weaknesses in his play. I'm kind of wondering what you're expecting out of it, Soren.
Yeah, I mean, I think QB, you have to consider Cubit the favorite at this point. I mean, he's lost no matches, whereas PB has lost 2 in the tournament. And beyond that, I mean, he's been playing. He's won 320 quick match games, which is I think more than double the next closest player.
Yeah, I think so. Just so much experience on his side, and that'll help him out in dealing with this map. Which just looks a little awkward.
It's funny, lots of carbon but 0 adjacency. Lots of iron, but they're all far away from everything else.
Yeah,
I would put Scavenger in the northeast, just because it's got basically all the resources.
Yeah, I would be tempted by that too, I think.
Just maybe drop down some of that silicon, and then just start claiming stuff.
Now, you could kind of make scientific work, but you are a little light on adjacency bonuses if you choose to go next to the water. And then, of course, you don't have access to silicon easily, but you've got the aluminum, you've got the water, and the iron kind of next to each other. I don't know if it would be worth it this map instead of something like Robotic, though.
Wow, I would. Okay, they finally found it. PB loves the Robotic.
That's going to be interesting for Cubit. I don't know if he thought that one all the way through.
He's not going to get any adjacency off of the iron. Well, I mean, I guess he'll probably put the steel mills to the south of the iron, but oh man, look at that race!
Yeah, I don't know who's going to take this one. It looks like Cubit has a small lead, I think.
Oh man, that's got to be like a second. Yep, goes to Cubit. You can tell he wants to head. Who found it first?
PB Head did found first, but Cubit was just barely closer to that tile, it seems. And maybe it was also a situation where we had this interesting thing going on during that found, where Cubit wanted to take these carbon tiles, but PB Head had blocked them. So maybe while PB was queuing up his iron, Cubit got the aluminum scent. Yep. At that point, PB just like a hair off that.
It doesn't make much difference, really, though, because it's just going to be a little bit farther for PB Head, but not crucial.
Well, the big difference is right now, where PB Head, his is still getting constructed. Like, I think the big difference is all that extra time right now that he is losing, which is basically going to be something like 3 shipments, or 4, probably.
It's unfortunate for PB Head that was so close. If he was a couple seconds behind, he could have told he would have known that he was not going to get it, and he would have canceled it and moved on to the next spot.
Huge play out of PB Head, though. Once again, we saw this barely in the last match. Didn't have too much of an impact. This time, I think it was a lot more important. PB Head, because Cubit was blocked off from his carbon immediately, PB Head once again buying into that carbon, making it very expensive for Cubit to go ahead and get it down. So even though Cubit had this aluminum advantage, he was well behind in collecting his primary resource, carbon, and PB had made him pay through the nose in order to establish it.
I like that.
Not as far behind as he might have been.
Without power surges, I don't like that PB Head didn't put his steel mills next to the iron mine. That seems weird.
Yeah, that is a little bit weird. I mean, it is protected against EMPs. He has established a goon squad for himself. And Cubit didn't really have much of an opportunity to fight. Oh, man, aluminum shortage headed in. Cubit's going to know about that ahead of time due to his Scavenger bonus.
See if he starts buying it up.
He did. But PB Head has like 140 established as well. I mean, Cubit has a little bit more.
Right. So it's going to be just a little small effect, basically.
But I think this is actually a pretty nice boost for PB Head. That I think is going to be very beneficial for him.
Cubit, however, just dropped some pirates on the aluminum round.
He did, and that's good. But the big thing, I think, is that PB Head is going to have a lot more spare aluminum over the course of the game, simply because he's a robotic player, and they just don't pay a lot of aluminum for things. So that might be beneficial to him long term. It also kind of made this weird opening where Cubit's trying to use pirates, but are those even going to be worth it long term, since that aluminum price isn't going to be jumping up all that much, all that fast? You can see it's at 32. It may not get a whole lot higher than that until Cubit upgrades himself, and then it's almost like Cubit is having to use these pirates to fight back against the high aluminum price rather than actually taking advantage from them.
Yep. I like where PB just grabbed that water.
Pirates.
Making it difficult.
Those filthy bandits.
That's a good water tile to steal from Cubit, making it difficult to link things up. Also just, like, generally making things annoying for Cubit to put down extra triangles in that area.
Exactly, just mess that whole thing up. I wouldn't mind grabbing the other medium. Well,
You may also notice that PB Head is using adjacency bonuses with his iron now.
right.
So he's got those 5 steel mills down. They're up at $57 a piece still.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's nice.
That's a good play right there for if you're going to go that hard in steel. You know, likes to. Yeah, what do you think about claiming that high carbon from so far away? I would have gone for that medium. It was much closer.
Was that out of Cubit? I'm not sure. Obviously, once again, similar to the aluminum with PB Head at the beginning of the game, it's not a big initial boost, but maybe long-term it will make enough of a difference.
I feel like you shouldn't have even done that claim. Dry ice. They've got dry ice. Drop down a couple dry ice condensers. You can use them for something else. Because later in the game, I feel like those 3 carbon tiles are going to be kind of dead.
That is the question. It kind of depends on exactly what phase of the game what phases of the game they go through, depending on whether or not that carbon will be valuable. I think it is definitely a bit of a risk out of Cubit, if nothing else, and it is just so far away.
Yeah, 36,000 is a good solid price for that auction.
Now, one thing I do like about it compared to the medium is it creates a situation where Cubit can't easily have all of his carbon pirated away.
Sure.
Very, very quickly. So it's kind of spread out and a little bit harder to target down.
Yeah, if you notice, we've got double mutiny, double pirates down now.
I see him, yeah, on the aluminum. But still, I don't know. PB Head does have a lot of aluminum coming in, it looks like. Oh, he stole Cubits. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't even spot that mutiny. That's interesting. I don't know what to think about that out of PB Head. It's almost like he's just trying to punish Cubit and like force him to get these pirates going instead of getting to EMP all the time.
But aluminum just doesn't cost that much, you know? And he doesn't need it that much either.
Not really, but it did force a pretty big response out of Cubit.
Yeah.
With those pirates, I think. So it's an interesting play.
I feel like that second pirate was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. But forcing mistakes out of your opponent is a nice way to win the game still.
That's true.
Ooh, carbon shortage. That is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's rough to see if you're PB.
Yeah, because I feel like Cubit, that's going to especially pay off, I think, for Cubit going for that high tile. The fact that this shortage came in, that is just so much money available for Cubit all of a sudden that he normally wouldn't have access to.
Going double geos, Cubit is.
Mm-hmm. Well,
interesting.
That is interesting with the carbon price being so high. I guess he just wants to make sure he has that power coming in particular. And PB Head, as per usual, PB Head kind of not doing a whole lot about power. He's got the 1 geotherm online. It's nowhere near enough to cover him.
Sure. It's funny, Cubit grabbed the 2 geos, and I was just about to say, the thing I love about double geos is you don't have to goon squad them, and then he immediately
goon squads one, I know.
Without even a geo up. So, whatever.
Well, that's a pretty big freeze.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Definitely will slow Cubit down a bit. I mean, the EMPs are still powerful when PB Head has access to them. It's just not very often that he gets to do that. It also has this nice aspect to it where he basically, with that freeze... Oh, teleportation coming up. We'll see how that goes. But with that freeze, he kind of gets to check and see where Cubit's goon squads are, for the most part, and see that none of them are here on any of these tiles. So that's good information.
I feel like having the 1 high silicon on this map is going to make a big difference for Cubit. I really like that he has that.
Yeah, I think he needed that for his glass production, like we usually see out of him, and he's going to pick up teleportation for just $28,000.
That seems pretty nice.
Once again, another nice thing in favor of that high carbon tile, you know. But all that stuff is a long ways away, and so getting... I mean, it's not even the fuel cost, right, for the debt. It's just always having access to those resources and being able to use them and invest them immediately.
Well, then you could even theoretically put secondary buildings just wherever you want.
Yeah. He's a little spread out for that right now, but also with pirates on the map. Well, those aren't going to be used against Cubit anymore.
Yep.
The black market is online.
All right, PB is the first to 5, as he should be in some ways as the robotic player. I'm still a bit nervous for him. He needs to get down a little more power. He needs to find a way to actually get to this off-world market, it feels like.
I like that he got the dry ice condensers down. That was a really nice play. Boy, you put those farms in a weird spot, though.
Yeah, I think those were mostly to be protected against Black Market, since they line up very well with the Goon Squad he had already placed.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that's a bit of an interesting EMP, maybe a little bit premature for Cubit, but it'll still get the job done, knocking out some steel, knocking out some iron. And of course, those dry ice condensers, which are just so valuable at the moment. One thing you gotta say, Cubit's Offworld is gonna be expensive when he finally manages to get close to it. He's not even at HQ level 5 yet. He's going to have to spend so much carbon on that. So much carbon just to get down buildings. And this is where the carbon shortage can come back and punish the Scavenger player. Yeah, he has access to endless black market, but man, he has to make good use of that in order to keep pressing through this game.
I mean, carbon's double the price of steel.
Yeah. Not a spot you really want to be in.
Scary.
There is a spy down for Cubit right underneath PB's Goon Squad, so that's nice to see for him. He will know about anything going on that tile, and PB's just got this very blank tile right now that he's in fact moving into power.
Well, power is a big deal right now, actually. And Cubit has a huge advantage in power. He's making,
especially with that mutiny that he threw down.
Yeah, he's making about 400 a second, whereas PB Head is still losing money on power. That he's got to get out of the negative in power.
It feels like PB Head is just playing so scared right now, though. I can understand it, but you got to be careful doing that. I would have almost loved to see solar panels instead of these wind turbines, because carbon is just so expensive.
Yeah, that seems really weird. I mean, the solar panels are straight up better. I mean, the only disadvantage is like the potential
nighttime and EMPs. Well, you got to be careful with solar panels against the Scavenger. If they shut you down during the day, and then you've got all of night where you're not active either, you can get in trouble. But it's just such a huge gap between silicon and carbon right now. 32,000. I think that's entirely appropriate, actually. 32,000 for that Geo. It opens him up in so many additional ways. I'm actually really surprised he didn't just take the second Geo in the first place.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out for him okay, but it still comes down to this off-world, I think. Oh, and Cubit has actually bought up 277 steel right now.
I like that. That's nice.
That's a good play.
The prices. I mean, PB, you look at this, he's got all this wind power and iron mines and steel mills that are off. I mean, I understand the iron mines are doing great, but like... Ugh.
But he's in an awkward spot, and he doesn't have a lot of money, whereas Cubit has about $30,000. He's ahead on cash right now. They're even on upgrades, and that's a very, very dangerous place for PB to be right now. It feels like Cubit's just drug himself back into the game with continual uses of these EMPs.
Yep. Which is what you should do as a Scavenger, so...
He's still got that steel bought up as well, that 277 cash, and being able to just leave that much money sitting around.
I love freezing the metal mines because they were making so much more money than the steel mills, and this will mean that the steel mills will start making less money.
Yeah. It's a very good call going ahead and freezing those out continually, I think. Plus, it's just a really nice spot for an EMP. You hit so many tiles with that.
Yep.
And these players have actually been using EMPs equally against each other, so it's still only 10,000 for the next one for Cubit. PB Head with the dynamite stored up. No player has actually made a move toward an off-world just yet, which is really interesting to see. I think Cubit should be getting close. Yeah, he's going to have the cash before long to actually make that happen. He's been making electronics this whole time, you know, for very little money, but it helps kind of secure that off-world, and I'm worried that once that comes down, PB Head's not going to have that path to recovery unless Cubit makes a serious mistake. And if there's one thing Cubit doesn't do often, it's make mistakes.
Yep. Yeah, I like just those two glass furnaces, two electronics, just kind of off to the side. They're not going to get really hit hard by black market stuff, and this just kind of gives you a little hedge for building that off-world, which he is now dropped down.
More classic Qubit play. Unfortunately for him, there is a spy down for PB Head already, so he will be aware of some of what's going on.
It's true. Very well placed spy. Got lucky on that one because Qubit deleted 2 buildings at the same time to hide which one was a real Offworld.
Yeah.
But he has the advantage there.
Now, if PB Head wants, he can always spend 5,000 on another spy so he can have a better idea of what's happening, but
Yeah.
that is $5,000, which actually could be crucial this game in getting yourself to that next Offworld. Man, Qubit's still sitting on 277 steel. It's still just sitting there. It's such a big deal, this game. Steel being such a lower price would be huge for PB Head.
Yeah. I think you should basically wait for PB Head to build the Offworld and then sell that steel.
Yeah, that's basically what he'll be looking to do. He'll make a nice profit off of it. And he will be slowing down PB Head the entire time that he's got that bought up.
Yeah. I mean, PB Head at this point knows he's got to get that Offworld up, but he's $70,000 in cash away from it.
Yeah.
And I don't see, he doesn't have a... Wait, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong player. PB had 60,000 away from it, but he hardly has any resources, so...
Yeah, well, 40,000 away from it technically right now, I think, but total, once you count his current cash.
Yeah.
But still not a good place to be. Alright, he's making progress, though. Qubit, it looks like, finally actually sold his steel, so that could be a nice boost. That's like $20,000 cheaper, actually, that Offworld turned because of that steel cell. So that's kind of a big deal. But on the other hand, now that Qubit has his own Offworld established, it's building, it's goon squatted, the electronics price has risen and the glass price has risen. So it's not as big a deal that steel is now more readily available for PB Head because the other resources are just that much more expensive these days. I think he is very close to being able to put an Offworld market down, but I don't know where he's going to put it given that he has no goon squad available at the moment. PB Head might have even, honestly, like just scrapped this steel mill to try and force something weird out of Qubit, but Qubit has a spy down already. So he knows that the tile is just blank.
Yeah, he's got to at least get rid of these wind turbines. I mean, he's got 8 tiles split between wind turbines and steel mills, which are each making him $5 a second.
There's the Offworld, finally. Qubit had once again bought up 200 steel, making things more and more awkward. And the moment that comes down and EMP lands, that's almost 2 minutes. Almost 2 minutes more away from that Offworld. Now, the hacker array, not going to be as effective as Qubit wants.
Yep. No, he deleted
it and put it somewhere else. Very nice.
Your stock is being
Well, that's how you do it, instead of just sitting around. Still, though, might be too late.
Yeah, I think so. Qubit's going to hit it with something else. I mean, he's got dynamite for 7,000, mutiny for 7,000. I mean, there's just so many things he can do.
Yeah, for sure. That is... Oh, man. And plus, he's just got so much cash on hand. He only needs 4 more stock away from PB. He can get 2 instantly, very, very easily, basically, if he just sells down some resources. And then he'll only need 2 more at that point. Electronic shortage is coming in. He's going to have a small stockpile of that ready to go. He's making so many electronics already. PB Head was relying on food, which has completely died. And just doesn't really have anything going for him still this game. Hasn't ever managed to push to an actual weapon he can fight with. Yeah, PB Head is just going to call the GG right then and there. He knows he's an entire minute away from that launch. He knows it's not defended, and Qubit's going to just attack it very, very quickly. Qubit's going to get this launch, and the game is just going to end.
Yep.
It was a nice, felt a little bit like a comeback for Qubit. PB Head got off to a bit of a better, earlier start, but then Qubit just stalled him out for so long. Like, it was a good 5 minutes there that PB, it felt like, got delayed.
Yeah.
From his Offworld. And
well, robots can go really fast, but they also need... He just didn't have anything that was making a lot of money, you know? And at some point,
it's true.
It's just going to bite you.
Yeah, at some point you do have to make money. And especially once he had gotten... If he had managed to push through and get that Offworld established at the speed that he would have without Qubit interfering, that would have been just such a fast Offworld, but...
I mean, Robotic can upgrade so fast, but you still are going to have to buy 100 glass and 100...
Yes, you are.
That's what PB did not have.
And hadn't moved into really any production to support that appropriately, like ever. He had a couple of farms down. Those weren't making a lot of money, though. And it was mostly just a lot of steel. Now, the steel stayed strong for him for a long time.
Oh.
But by the time it came that he needed to have the money for the electronics and glass, it was down very, very low, and Qubit had managed to buy into it after that, and everything just got very, very weird for PB very quickly. Well, I don't want to keep them waiting too long. I think both these players like to fly through their games pretty quickly, so I guess we'll just head on over to game number 2.